So I have some other friends who are business owners and they didn't know where to start with their websites. So I just would help them out. We'd trade services or I would just do it because I figured why not learn the skill. Over time, as I started networking, I'm realizing a lot of people don't have access to this if their budget isn't there for marketing.
Right.
So I was like, there's a need for this in this niche.
I'm gonna keep on running. I'm gonna fight till I get to the top. With every step I know that I'm not gonna stop.
Well, hello, Sarah. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good, good. So we want to welcome all of our followers and all of our fans of Long Island Networkers. So today is our second episode of Get to Know a Networker. So today we're going to have Sarah, the owner of Simple Sweet Sites. How's your day?
Day's going great. It's Monday, start of a new week. So
Monday's my favorite day. Most people, it's not their favorite day. Monday's my favorite because I feel like the world is ready to start doing business again.
yes, yeah,
You know,
new potential.
yeah, I mean, the weekends are fun to enjoy, but like, I want to work.
Yeah.
All right, so you know how this goes, right? We go through a series of 6 different questions. It's an opportunity for people to dig a little bit deeper into Simple Sweet Sites and to you, Sarah, and understand what you do, why you do it, and we'll go over those 6 questions. So I always will start from the beginning, right? That's the best place to start. So first question is, who are you?
All right, so hi, my name is Sarah Laval. I'm the owner of Simple Sweet Sites. So basically what I do is I design websites for small businesses and startups.
Excellent. And then, so it's funny, the question always merges into 2. Like the next one is what do you do? And what I've told people in my personal interviews for clients and then for doing this is, if you can, for the what you do, that's the question, what do you do? If you can think of it of someone that has no clue about what you do and simplify it as best you can so anybody can really understand it. So go ahead.
All right, so as I said, I design websites, but I take a bit of a different approach than normal because I like to have the service available to small businesses and startups who normally don't quite have the budget to have a custom website design made. So I utilize programs such as Wix, which is my primary program that I use, to make it a simple approach, but it's still customizable. I take your existing brand, if you have one, your colors, your fonts, and I use the Wix templates as a guideline to start a creatively customized a site from scratch from the templates. And then I can kind of like utilize all the different components of the template and make your website from there. So I ask the main questions such as, who are you? The same questions that you're asking me. Why do you do what you do? And then even services, rates, because really you have to take it from the perspective of somebody who is visiting your site. Really, why are they there? They're not there to read your entire autobiography. They're there to see what services you offer, how much is it, how do I contact you? So I just try to get straight to the point when I'm building the website. So that approach usually leads to successful turnaround for business.
Yeah, and that does explain a little bit better of, you know, what you actually do. And it's a very good name of your company, Simple, because everything you're trying to do is simplify that.
Yes.
So why don't we talk a little bit about how you actually do it? So when a client, you know, gets to know you, gets to know what you do, and they decide, I'm ready, you know, let's do it, Sarah. How do you actually go through the process of working with them?
So usually they'll come to me and they'll see what it's all about, and I set up a consultation with them because I want to get to know them. Even though a lot of the times the client will put the project in my hands, I still like to see what their vision is because I want a piece of them and their heart in the project. So even if I ask them, what's your favorite color? Of course, I do look at industry standards across the board, but sometimes you do want to stand out a little bit. So that's kind of the element of how I try to make my designs unique, because it always has a bit of the actual human being in their own business, because you, at the end of the day, you are your business.
Right.
So then what I do is I take what I found and then I pretty much run with it. That's usually been a good approach that I've taken, and I found success doing that. What I'll do is I'll start the entire design and then I'll communicate what I've done thus far. I'll get like the general gist of where I'm going with it. I'll present it to the client, so it's kind of like a draft. And then if they approve it, then I just run with the rest of the site. Then I design it, I give them a temporary link, and then they approve the final design, and then we go live. What's nice is with Wix, all I do is register their email address, and you don't have to pay for a Wix membership until the design goes live. So you don't need a domain, you don't need to pay for the Wix membership until the entire project is complete. So I do try to have around a 2-week turnaround time, but if you're not in a rush, then it's basically whatever timeline you want to be on is where we could be regarding investment in the project. So
Wow, 2 weeks, that's the fastest I've ever heard of.
yeah.
Do you find, is 2 weeks your average with or without people wanting to really get involved and make changes, or is that just the average overall?
Average overall. So my clause is I can get it done within 2 weeks if I'm given the copy for the wording. I need, of course, all your services because you know your business better than I do. So I need the information to put on it. Sometimes people don't have high level photography, so that's fine. Wix has free stock images, and there's also a lot of other resources I can use. So I can make a very aesthetically pleasing site just from stock images even. So as long as I have the wording, I can get it done in 2 weeks or less.
Well, it's really incredible. I mean, especially in this time frame when people need something immediately, they were brick and mortar, face to face, belly to belly, eye to eye type service or products, and now they have nothing. So for 2 weeks to be able to accomplish that, that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so this is my absolute favorite question because you really get to know people or understand their reasoning behind doing everything they're doing, because most entrepreneurs like you and I, like you said earlier, you become your business, right? You are your business. So the question is, why did you actually start this business, Simple Sweet Sites?
So going back a few years, I'm actually a musician. That's where I started. So I went to college for music, but then I actually ended up switching to business because I was told by a very wise teacher that I don't need a piece of paper to say that I'm a musician. So I was like, let me try to get a job after college.
That is good advice. Yeah.
So I got a business degree and then stayed in corporate for a while, but I still wanted to keep music in my life. Moving forward with the question is, I started a website, I started a entertainment company. Playing music for weddings, corporate events, private events with my friend who plays violin. I play viola, so string quartets. And then I built the website for that. That company is Island Exclusive Entertainment. And I'm saying that because you can see that's part of my portfolio because that's one of my websites. So I started doing that. And then once I found out how to use the program, I always had a design eye. I guess the musician, artistic kind of comes in the same hand in hand. So I just was pretty savvy with it from the start. I'm also an online shopper, so I know exactly what things need to look like online to grab my eye. So I have some other friends who are business owners and they didn't know where to start with their websites. So I just would help them out. We'd trade services or I would just do it because I figured why not learn the skill. Over time, as I started networking, I'm realizing a lot of people don't have access to this if their budget isn't there for marketing. Right. So I was like, there's a need for this in this niche. Startups and small businesses need this.
That could be a new one, Startup Company.
Startups, yeah, new package. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so I saw a need for that specific niche, and I figured I would cater to it with Simple Sweet Sites, and then that's where it was born.
It's funny. What do they say? There's so many cliches, but it's like, what's the one? It's necessity is the mother of something. Creativity is the mother of necessity, or something like that.
I mean, creativity is necessary for, even if people think they aren't creative, everyone needs to find that little, whatever it is, even if it's drawing stick figures, we all need that creative outlet because it takes your brain to a completely new realm. So right. It'll benefit business even for people to just start dabbling in some sort of art form, drumming, if you feel like you're not musical, something, you know.
Yeah, I do. It's interesting. So I had uh, not a psychologist, but they were a business coach. And, I do analysis all day long. I'm looking at numbers and everything else. And they were talking about relieving stress. And they said that one of the best things you could do is you have to use your left side and your right side of your brain equally, right? Otherwise, one side atrophies. And they said what you're supposed to do is whichever side of the brain you use, right? For me, analysis and everything else, they said now you have to free your brain up and relax, is you have to be creative. So we went through a few different things. So I love photography, but that's hard to do. Cooking is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
So it's super creative. I never follow recipes. I'm making it on my own. Even like the presentation of the plate, because I feel if it looks better, it tastes better.
Absolutely.
Things like that, it's always good to do both, but you have to always realize where you're the expert, and I'm not the expert at that.
Right.
But that's the point of why we need, you need people like you to create the websites. We may know enough to do it, but at the end of the day, there's definitely a skill that comes along with that.
Yeah, and it's not that everyone is incapable. It's really just at the end of the day, what is your business and what do you want to allot your time to? If you want to spend the next year learning Wix, go for it, but at the same time, that'll take you away from spending time and focusing on your business and growing and doing sales. And what I like to do on Instagram is give marketing tips of how you can do it on your own with some free and low cost apps. So that's something you can spend your time on because that won't take as much time to learn. But something as building a website, a few times what's happened is I'll consult with them and they'll say, oh, I think I could do it myself. And then 6 months down the line, they're like, can you just do it for me? Because it's not that they're not capable, but just let someone who knows how to do it, just do it. The smartest thing to do is delegate, especially in your business. You don't want to waste your time even doing billing, hire an accountant, so there's things like that. So.
No, it's very true. And that's why a lot of the networking that I'm involved with, there's a lot of business to business because, you are an expert at what you do. You need all these other pieces, but it's great to find good people like yourself to outsource things to. And, people, especially small business owners and startups like you work with, they're always looking at the bottom line. How much money is this going to cost me? And, it's going to cost me X. I can do it for Y on my own. Might as well do it. What most small business owners, which is my focus, who I usually work with, most of them tend to not look at their time as monetary expense.
Right.
What they don't realize is it may only cost you 25% of hiring a professional, but you're going to spend 100% of the time doing the work. And what does that equate to of what you could have actually made if you focused on what you sell or what you do?
Exactly.
I always say this to people is I love cutting my lawn. Love it. I have a pride in it. But when my business grew, I had to hire landscapers because what I paid them per hour was a tenth of what I make per hour if I'm working.
Yep.
And I don't necessarily work because I used to always cut it on Saturdays. I don't necessarily work that same time anymore, but it frees up that time for my family. Right. So you have to always value your time. And if you start equating out, all right, if I'm going to build a website out, it's going to take me, and I don't know how long, but let's say it takes someone 30 hours, right? What's 30 hours of your time worth? And then find out what it's costing you. And it's probably less expensive to hire a professional.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is something I was telling Dan last time that many people don't get an opportunity to answer this question because no one really asks it. So that's why I felt this was a very important question to ask anyone who's part of Long Island Networkers. Is when do people need your business? So when in their life should that light bulb go on of like, okay, now it's time to call Sarah?
Yeah. So definitely if you are taking your business seriously, because my belief is if you're going to have a web presence, if you're going to be online, I mean, if you just do a excuse my language, half-ass website that really doesn't look good and it's just put together, it looks like it was built in 1995, the colors don't match, the fonts all over the place, there's pixelated images, you go on there and it just doesn't look legit, you don't look professional, and that's it's from a judgy perspective, but to be honest, if you're a consumer spending money, you're going on there and you want to trusts who you're working with. And if you didn't even take the time to make your website look nice, what kind of work are you going to do when I hire you? You know, so it's like kind of have pride in what you do and just have your web presence replicate and represent the kind of service that you're going to provide. So even if it might not be accurate, it looks like low effort on website equals low effort in your services and how you're gonna, how you work anything in your life. It's just an equal representation of you as a person, you know? Right. So yeah, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no. So that really makes sense. So first, it's, you know, if you're taking yourself seriously, you know, that's when people really do need you. So again, the question was, what would happen in someone's business? And I know you work with a lot of startups, but what would happen in their business to trigger, okay, now it's actually time to call Simple Sweet Sites and start this process? Yeah.
So, so you're at the point of taking your business seriously and you recognize, okay, I don't want to essentially waste my time doing this myself. I want a nice web presence. I already have my Facebook. I have my Instagram. Now it's time for a website, just because I want, when someone searches for me, or I have somewhere professional looking to an actual domain that looks like you're a legit business, and I'll send them to this website. And it's basically just a reference point for your potential prospects. You want them to go on there and just have one place to look at your services, one place to see your past work. It's a really good place for testimonials. So if you're just starting up and you're looking to, or you can if you're existing and you just want to upgrade your look, it's a good place. And also what I like to say too is Wix is a good place to start if you're on the smaller end, because it's a small investment, but also it gives you the freedom to do it yourself. So what I include in my package is I do set it up for you, but there's, and I'm always here for support too, but there's freedom if you want to update your own photos, update your own text, switch things around. I show you the back end of Wix. It's very, very simple. And people have the freedom to just log into their account and make small changes themselves. So they're not tied to me. They're not waiting for me to go in and flip out the photo and maybe it's a rush. So it kind of gives some freedom in that sense, which I've heard in the past that working with designers, there's a lack of freedom because you're locked into and at the mercy of their schedule. So that kind of separates me as well, as I give the user, the client, the freedom to go in and do whatever changes they'd like. Or if you just want to hand it over to me, I'm here for support whenever you need.
Right. No, I mean, that's great, because I know in the many different websites I've had in my life, that was always an issue. Is, you know, I want to change something and I got to send it out, and I kind of get in the queue. Whenever I'm up, my work gets done, but I wanted something on yesterday, right? And that's how we all are. We want it right now.
When you think of it, that it already had to be done.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's usually how it happens. It's reactionary, right? Yeah. Oh, that's good. And then like you were saying, you know, you give them that flexibility to do it, so it must save you some time and energy as well. And I know, you know, some website companies for small business owners and startups will charge, you know, anywhere $15,000, $30,000 a year to do that. And that's usually a point of pain where people, they won't even look into it because they're like, I know I don't have 30 grand to build my website. Right. So I don't know if you want to talk about pricing at all or anything. And this wasn't part of the questions, but how do you work and charge? I mean, is it $15,000, $30,000, or how does that work?
Definitely not $15,000. So I try to keep it well below that, because I do understand the pain of every single dollar matters. Like, you basically, when you're just starting up, you're deciding between investing in a CRM system versus putting up a website. It's that minuscule. Can I get pens or should I print flyers? You know, so it's very tight, and I understand that because I was there. So I set up 2 starter packages. I have for $9.95 the scroll page, where it's just a long home page, so it basically covers everything that you need. So your why, your services, contact, and I just put it on one scroll page on a home page. So that's a very basic, maybe for like a personal trainer who just broke off on their own but really wants to be online. And then I have, if you have a little more information, maybe if you're an office, you need to have a few pages broken out. I have a 4-page basic website for $1,500. Wow. So both of those, hopefully still affordable. Does not include the Wix membership, but typically where people are at, if they're coming to me, they don't need any of those high-level packages. So typically the Wix is just $17 a month, which you pay for the year. It's really
Wow.
still nothing.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then the domain goes anywhere between like $12 and $15 a year. So again, I started this to just help people out because it's something that should be accessible to anyone. Of course, there's other companies that do the coding, and if somebody comes to me and needs that, I have a lot of resources and friends that do this and have businesses coding, and they went to school for it, and great. But I think there was a major need for someone who's not quite there yet. And I am always honest. If I feel like their business needs to be on that higher level of custom coding, but maybe they just didn't want to stomach the investment, I'm like, listen, you really should go with the custom website because that's what your specific industry will need.
Right.
But what I also do is I host the domain typically on GoDaddy because what happens is, say if you're a growing business and you are just starting up, one day you might need to elevate to the coded website. So GoDaddy allows you to take the domain anywhere you want. So you'll first have it on Wix, and then whenever you're ready to graduate onto the next level, you can take that to your new designer whenever you're ready.
Great.
So,
Well, that's
again,
so affordable.
and I never want people to feel locked into anything.
Yeah. And you know, as a business owner, you always have to reinvest back in your business, and this is one of the best things. But like you said, you're worried about pens and flyers and paying the rent. So at that price point, I mean, that's almost, why wouldn't you consider doing this? I mean,
Yeah, I try to make it a no-brainer because having a high quality website is a no-brainer. You really need one because it represents your quality of service at the end of the day.
So I have one more question, but before I get into that question, is there anything that you wanted to tell us and anybody who will watch this that maybe I didn't ask?
I just want to remind people that there's a lot of things, especially regarding marketing, that you can do on your own. Again, as we just discussed, it is time consuming. There is a level of learning, but don't assume that you can't do it just because you don't know how to do it yet. Whenever you're starting something brand new, it's going to seem hard, it's overwhelming, but that's why on Instagram I have a lot of the resources with the apps that make it very, very easy. And maybe the first couple you make aren't going to look good, but you have to find that humility within yourself and just try something new. It's okay. It's not a weakness. Everybody learns and starts somewhere. So especially with the online marketing, that's my approach, because when you're first starting out, you definitely don't have the money to be spending $500 a month to have someone doing it for you, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to have a really nice looking Instagram.
Yeah.
So use those apps to help you out. And then regarding a website, delegate. Allow somebody that knows what they're doing, me, somebody else, whatever. Invest in your business if you're serious about it, and let the professional do it. And then run with it on your own. Take the branding. You can have the website created, and then you can use that branding to design your own Instagram posts. So there's a lot of freedom in this if you're just a little open-minded and play with that creativity that we were just talking about. Find your art outlet.
Oh, that's great. This was great. So much valuable information. And this is really why I want to do this, is because how many times do people get an opportunity to really go into that unless they know they're going to be sold at the end of it, right? And and people are hesitant because they think it might be 30 grand to do something like this. So thank you for sharing all that. I hope it's helpful for everybody that's watching, and people will reach out to Sarah. And that leads into my last question is, where can people find you?
So Instagram, I put all of my information here very conveniently. Another thing I like to note, if you're doing online business, I'm here to create these custom Zoom backgrounds. It doesn't need to look exactly like this. Adam has an awesome one right there, but you can put your information right on here, so it's easy. But yeah, so my phone number is 631-379-4319. I have a portfolio up on my website, simplesweetsites.com, Instagram, email straightforward, simplesweetsites@gmail.com. Any of these outlets, you can feel free to reach me at and inquire. I'm doing free coffee dates right now, half-hour talks. We can turn that into a consultation, or I could just get to know you, give you some tips about how to market online. However I can serve you, I'm here.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for coming. I know you've been an integral part, and you've been here since the beginning of Long Island Networkers, so I'm glad you're one of the first to be interviewed as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I look forward to building a relationship with you, and hopefully a lot of people will reach out to you and find out if this is something they can do, or they should do, or they should have done. But yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna keep on running.